the world is a cultural colony of the United States of America. No, I cannot take credit for that. That was in the comment section on a video I made asking the question, what has the United States given to Spain? As far as modern day, what can Spain thank us for? And ultimately the answers were the internet, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, the fact that I'm here, not only because I am an American, but because my country introduced YouTube to the world. So, but then somebody was saying, they're like, well, but that's not just Spain. The United States ultimately has culturally affected the world because of their inventions. I mean, we could argue, even if we're talking about even cars and airplanes and certain things, we could even get in there. We could go way back. There's a lot of things that we have had our hands in that we launched off the ground, even if maybe they started in another country, but those immigrants ended up making them happen here in the United States. That's my understanding about World War II and the atomic bomb, that they were actually Israeli, or they're actually Jewish scientists that we got over here to fight on our side. And so, yeah, I mean, that's something I'm very aware of, that a lot of things happen here. Even if they started somewhere else, they happen in the United States. We make it famous. We make it popular. We make it affordable. We make it accessible for the masses. And by default, we make the world our cultural colony. We're not, and I think there could even be, maybe it should be its own video, but I even think to some degree we do this with our military in the United States. Our people are told, you gotta fight for our freedom, fight for our country, and then we spend billions of dollars for our soldiers, weapons, equipment to go to police the rest of the world. We wouldn't be okay if other countries set up bases here in the United States, but we've got what, over 700 military bases across the United States that are not in the United States. So it kind of feels like we're policing the world. It kind of feels like culturally we're colonizing the rest of the world, but also to some degree, doesn't it kind of feel like we're still colonizing the rest of the world with our military to some degree? Because our people are told, you're fighting for our freedom here in the United States. But ultimately, maybe we're fighting for America's politics. That's something I know, but I feel like a lot of people don't talk about, so I don't talk about it as an American, but that's how I perceive reality. I think it's a way that we can get around murder being immoral, because as long as it's associated with war, then it's not murder. And especially if the war is associated with freedom and protecting our people, even though we're sending our troops to the other side of the world to do it. I question things like that, but a lot of people don't. They just go along with, so. But for me, I think that there's this concept that ultimately the world is the cultural property, the cultural colony of the United States. I think that keeps us in power to a large degree. I understand that we don't have the best economy in the world anymore, right? Basically China is ultimately creating everything that exists in the world, and we're backing it, we're helping it happen, right? So I understand that financially we're not really in charge, but our military and our cultural, our inventions on the internet, what we produce, even in the name of entertainment. I mean, because I don't think anyone would question that if you think of one country who's known best for its modern day entertainment, as far as movies and TV shows, we're doing it all. Other countries copy us. Well, granted, we have stolen a lot of TV shows and movies even from England. That's true. But for the most part, we're launching it all here. And as long as the rest of the world keeps consuming our products, we maintain our cultural relevance. I think this is so interesting, especially when you consider the part about the military thing, that in modern day, can a country really get away with just taking over other countries? I know Russia's trying that. They're stretching their borders out to other countries. They're crossing the line, and the countries are just kind of having to go along with it. I understand that sort of thing happens. I understand this thing still happens in the oceans with the Chinese military and the ships, and this is our space. I understand that happens, but I'm saying more relevant than that. Aside from borders, if we can infiltrate through media, if we can teach you so much about our culture from our silly TV shows like Saved by the Bell, which let's please laugh about that. That's one of the most ridiculous TV shows that has ever been made. And yet anyone my age here in the United States has seen every episode 5 times. And I'm learning that that also is the case with plenty of countries overseas. They know exactly what Saved by the Bell is. So let's explore this further. I think this is so fascinating that the United States, we have colonized the world with our culture, with our media in particular, and by default to some degree our military. I can't think of another country, another nation that would come close to what we have done and what we are doing as far as colonizing the world culturally. What are your thoughts? Comments belong right here.